Assalamualaikum. Before we go for our content, which is behaviour of the voter, I will intro a bit about democracy. Democracy is the hardest form of government for candidate and voter. Democracy means government by the people in grid. Modern democracy must satisfy certain conditions. Political leader and administrative personnel must follow this requirement in their daily work and in the nation constitution. The provision of fundamental human rights, the separation of power between the executive, legislative, and judicial department, freedom of thought, impression, press, mass media, religious liberty, and gender department. Most important, treat the nurturing of knowledgeable and well-versed netizen.
Democracy is a form of government. Therefore, Malaysia practices a system of parliamentary democracy under the administration of constitutional monarch with His Majesty the Yang di-Pertuan Agong as a head of state. The federal constitution was enacted with such as condition to enable the implementation of the system. Moreover, citizens may either exercise power directly or elect representatives from among themselves to perform or to form the governing body, since it's open to everyone who want to be representative. But if they want to join, they have to pay for their own nomination. In addition, citizens have the ability to pick which political party to perform for the next 5 years based on their choices and the experience they had with election candidates before. Next, in order to gain citizen trust, candidates who are successfully in winning election need to be able to communicate effectively with the voters so they can show the strategies they are planning based on their manifesto. This will prevent misunderstanding between candidates and voters who only speak nonsense.
Ethnic factors are said to be among the entities that are important in influencing a person's votes and voting behaviour. Normally, voters will be more inclined to choose a candidate with the same ethnic identity as them. The competitive party can also represent and fight for the same ethnic right and interests as the voters. Most of the voters in a parliamentary or Dun area are from the Malay race, and the candidates running are also Malay. So, it is not wrong to say that the ethnic factor is the voter choice. In addition, religion also greatly influences voting behaviour. Malaysia is considered to be a very religious country and is primarily made up of the Islamic faith and has many races such as like Chinese, Indian and others. A positive aspect of a religion that influences voter behaviour is that if we have a religion, we are more likely to vote based on our religion. For example, PAS. Many people who are Muslim tend to vote for the party, but the negative aspect is that the commitment to religions has fallen for many individuals due to having a many race and a different nationalities, also making it unfair to form an Islamic state only. For example, during a PRU 15 general election this year, the turnout percentage as of 4 p.m. on November 19, 2022 was 70% of the people turned out to the vote. In terms of a number, 2.5 million voters are more than the number in 2018. Because of the advantage of being 18 years old to vote in this year, the estimated number of the Malays who went out to vote was the lowest compared to the last election. Therefore, it can be seen that the religions does influence voting behaviour positively and negatively. The influence of the ethnic factor also plays an important role because in the context of the multiracial country of Malaysia, this ethnic factor is also a reference in the formation of the Malaysian political system, which is inherited by the various races. Therefore, the racist political culture that is applied should be eradicated so the community can live fighting for the rights of the country and not for the certain interests only. However, certain rights and interests such as religion and question of a race should not be violated. Regardless of the assumption made, the absolute power to vote rests with all citizens who are eligible to vote. This factor may be used as a reference for every candidate and party competent to further increase their influence and credibility to win the vote of the voters, especially voters who are on a fence and difficult to predict. Difference in lifestyle and individual opinion about political and election have created uniques in understanding the process of a voting behavior. Although living in the same area and adopting the same lifestyle, understanding and a political thinking is not necessarily the same.
Age is the one of factor that can influence people's voting behavior. The voters who turn out to vote to determine the outcome of elections. Many older people are also members of organizations that provide information about political issues and encourage younger people to vote. Age and voting behavior are connected. As people age, they are more likely to be at the top of their earnings, so they are more likely to favor traditional conservative policy such as lower taxation on higher earners. In the 2017 general elections, is 61% of voters nationally who were aged over 65 years old vote conservative. Next is rising awareness of the issue that prevent young people from voting is essential so that they can take action and motivate themselves to do so. Numerous studies have attempted to understand why people vote, but none have considered behavioral approach to voting. When voters have the opportunity and right to cast a ballot, but decide not to, logic is called into question. Young people may be able to vote, but that does not guarantee they will. Besides that, younger voters may be concerned with issues such as greater support for education or youth unemployment. The SNP and Labour have recently been seen as being particularly eager to address this issue. According to tradition, young people tend not to support the conservative when voting. According to the age similarity hypothesis, people will favor candidates who are closer to their age. So younger people should favor younger candidates and older people should favor older candidates. And next, generational replacement explanation assume that younger people who enter the electorate are more liberal than their old counterparts. And those younger people should prefer more liberal candidates relative to older people. According to the mainstream insurgent hypothesis, younger voter favors political candidates who are perceived as ideological outliers and opponents of the traditional party establishment, whereas older voters favor more traditional, moderate mainstream candidates. So, while older voters should favor mainstream candidates, younger voters should favor insurgent candidates. Lastly, senior citizens are more likely to be long-time residents of their community and may be influenced by friends and neighborhoods of the same age who are also voting. They tend to be wealthier, particularly in the area of housing, and have strong ties to their local communities. Owning a home is also linked to higher voting rates. They have had time to learn how to register and develop into regular voters. So every age has the opportunity and responsibility to vote in the election to get a better government and to get the best country.
Media is very important in disseminating important information. With the advancement of technology, mostly to communicate or give information using mass media such as WhatsApp, Telegram, and TikTok. To spread information such as politics, learning, current news is all at the fingertips because it can make it easier for information to be spread. In the mass media, politicians expand their politics on social media, especially on TikTok, to influence voters during the election campaign. Politicians will throw interesting ideas in various factors. With this, the voters will be interested in the arguments and ideas they convey. Secondly, in the mass media, every party spreads negative news about other parties. Each party exposes shame and spreads slander against the other party so that they can win. For example, every election, politicians will spread negative things about other parties to tarnish the name of other parties so that voters are attracted to other parties. With this, voters can make a choice in rejecting a party or government that has a negative nature. Additionally, candidates running in the election will spread their manifesto and power information on social media. Each party disseminates their manifesto and power in each media to strengthen the confidence of voters to vote for them. For example, in the mass media, they will spread the campaign video of each party voicing their manifesto. With the spreads, voters will compare the manifesto of each party and will evaluate the candidate leaders with their manifesto. In conclusion, voters are more interested in mass media platforms because they spend a lot of time of media such as TikTok and WhatsApp.
The last and the final factor that influence people voting behavior is the social class. Social, which also can be called class, meaning a group of people within a society who is possess the similar socio-economic level. Other than being important in social theory, the concept of class as a collection of individuals that have same economic circumstances has been widely used in census and in study of social mobility. Many political analysts argue that social class has been remained as the most important factor that affecting voting behavior in Malaysia as well as around the world. Throughout the years, there has been a similar pattern of class-based voting and aware as well around the world as system. Professional, also known managerial, is referred to a social class within capitalism that by controlling production processes throughout occupying a superior management position is neither proletarian and be a bourgeoisie. Additionally, social class can also influence people in different ways, like intermediate. An intermediate stage level of position is one that occurs between the two other stages, level or position. Professional stratification mainly under position is the one that occurs between the two other stages. Upper actual level, manager level up to manager director, or you can call it as chief executive officer. This group of social is to choose candidate which can offer the betterment of the corporate needs and benefits of the business that they are venture to unemployed to venture to. Unemployed is the people that do not have any pay job. A candidate usually can attract the group of unemployed by promotion to provide more job opportunities. This kind of promises can be seen in every general election, just like PRU 50, which see many candidates did this kind of promises to the people. Another reason to explain why the very closely between social class and voting behavior is the long historic differences in party policies. The Conservative have a tradition of recommending low taxes and reduced welfare support. This kind of policy appeal to wealthy people in social classes like A/B, which are who rely on the state. Other than that, Labour and Labour and recent election in Malaysia favor policy the redistribute wealth or provide massive support. For instance, increasing taxes on wealthy people and higher spending on the welfare state, all this appeal to poorer voters in social class D/E. With fresh employment pattern and changing attitude within society, some polls suggest voters are most likely to vote according to their classes than in the past. This term given to the movement far away from class-based voting is called the alignment. Some political analysts will argue that the factor influence voting behavior of people are interlinked. For example, for this would be how social class is connecting to the to other long-term factors. As an example is age, geography or gender. Some polls suggest that around 40% of the voters are continuing to vote according to their caste, which means social caste are still remain to be one of the most important factors that influence voting behaviour.
In conclusion, the democratic political system and election practices are important to political stability. This is so because the election requires every citizen is directly involved in the election of the government through the election process held. The election process in the country has created elements of a competition between the political parties and the competing candidates. This competition should be based to the principle of justice and transparency to ensure the victory has a legitimacy. Competition in choice raya allows every citizen or voter to make judgment which is the appropriate in their voting during the election. I think this is due to consideration in the voting process can be influenced by factors in the behavior approach voters such as rational choice, party identification and psychology both in Malaysia in the general and in the Labuan in particular. Voters are no more mature and informed in the political response and its effect on their voting behavior during election. By that, the democratic system should be based on maturity politics that can ultimately give good and added value to the country and the people.